and everything. It
You got
lowered.
a moat around your castle?
It does.
Or
It
just a
has,
wall?
no, it's got a firth. It's called Strathlachlan. And there's a channel that goes up and the castle, well, it was destroyed in 1640
Oh.
by the British, but anyway,
I just was pretty sure that your castle was gonna have something obstructing a ladder truck from getting into it.
I'm sorry. Hydrant doesn't have a hydrant working, I know.
Make sure
Oh my
that you're
God, this-
certifiable, Tim.
Are you,
A
are
moat
you
would
chairing
work,
this?
you know, a moat would keep a ladder truck from.
I walked in, my name was up there. I know Dan wants to nominate me for vice chair or whatever. I guess he's virtual tonight.
Well,
He'll be real quick. He's gonna be on and off.
Yeah, and then
well,
Pat,
you know, let's set that as a standard then. Quick on and off. Let's do it.
I'm down with that.
I could not do with another lengthy one like my first one
Oh, my God.
was a marathon.
Well, I'm gonna hold someone accountable if they still go that long.
Decision to make tonight, right?
Actually, we have an update to our system at 7:30. So I'm not gonna pass it. Revenue's gonna shut down.
Oh,
Well,
Oh, well,
you know, 5:30 to 7:30, come on. Wait a minute.
well, we just gotta decide to kind of make a little change in the
yeah, this
public
one's a little
information
easier.
thing. Huh?
Let's not
a
allow
little
anyone in the
easier.
front door or the side
Um,
door.
Still charge the same fee. It's just, we have our own policy. It's slightly different than the cities.
I don't think we have a quorum
Not yet. Then if Dan leaves, we won't.
and we're gone.
Yep.
We'll go get dinner.
Do you ride your scooter down here?
No,
No,
I've got to go out and get it licensed.
that's a good idea.
Electric bike or
No.
like a legit scooter.
No, it's a gasoline. It's
Yamaha,
fairly old,
very old.
but,
Looks good.
you have to take it to the DMV so they can inspect it.
I don't know. I've
You
never
have to
done
do
anything
a
like this.
VIN check
Huh?
or something.
Do you have to, or?
I don't know. If it's been a long time, they might wanna, you have an old title?
Yeah,
I don't know. I go out there, I just take the title out there and say, I wanna get a new
find out what I
title.
need to do.
And if they say, well, we're gonna have to check the serial number on that thing, then you're gonna have to get it out there somehow.
Well, I've got a motorcycle license, but I'll have to go get insurance on it.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'd recommend riding that out to DMV. I mean, I guess it's possible, but.
And make an appointment. Don't just go sit, make an
Just here.
appointment. They're lovely. And making an
Oh.
appointment is the only way to go. Oh, yeah.
Well, we're 5 minutes away and we're short people, so,
I hear
You-
somebody coming though.
oh, man. Oh, God. I think I'll move over then.
I like the sunglasses.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
One of these days, Alice, one of these days. Uh, 3 minutes.
Yeah,
4
we have a
minutes.
couple minutes.
So I was trying to tell whoever keeps
Need a
track of
bathroom break.
the people that said they'd be there for the picnic thing.
Oh, you're gonna do that to me? You're gonna use the calendar? Jeez.
Not, I said I'd be there, but something came up.
Tuesday for lunch.
Like Lions. Tuesday's Lions.
Thursday.
Thursday, I'm gonna be in town.
Next Thursday, the
Mhm.
28th.
Josh is a,
Let me take a look here
I don't
because we have a
remember
meeting
if,
28th. 28th is looking
if we only have,
okay. Lunch, where to?
never, no.
You
Forum.
news.
Hmm.
Neglected you for so long.
I've neglected you too, big boy.
Can't remember off the top of my head. I should know this.
What the hell do you have on your arm? Sword of justice?
Yeah.
All right,
And a jackalope.
okay.
What are some of your favorite ones?
Well, my favorites, probably they're Mama Jane's, of course,
Okay.
but all the hoot owls are out there, so
Hoot owls.
hoot owls,
I'm confused.
old timers, people that sit around after retirement and lie. All right,
I can do that. Let's do that.
all right, let's do
Oh,
that.
all right.
Mama Jane's at noon,
Noon.
high noon,
I knew.
be packing.
Oh, I always am.
All right. So the turn,
Decide what you want when you
yeah,
go
because
in.
if Lisa's there,
Well, there is a tendency for most people that go there on a daily basis to not have any idea what they're gonna order. And,
oh, here we go again.
that they keep coming back. They're sitting there talking about everything. And do you know what you want yet? Oh, no, I haven't decided yet.
Well, there are days,
If you come in and you're looking at a menu, they'll know that you're still trying to decide, but it's gotta be a little frustrating. Cause this is like a routine thing.
all right, you're set, 12
right.
o'clock, next Thursday.
Do it. Finally.
There's Dan.
I'm on airport.
System. 541993401 is not available. At the tone, please record your name.
I mean, Tim, I'm just starting a city council urban meeting, so can't make it, sorry. No, he still has 1 minute. No, you're not.
Marcus is like chiding me for it.
Damn it, he came. We were hoping we weren't gonna have a forum so we could all go home, but
I could go.
it could.
Dan gonna do it or?
Okay,
Good evening, everybody. I have 5:30. Is Crystal, are you ready for action?
Yes, we are ready.
Very good. Dan Richardson, I'm Chair of the Urban Renewal Board, and I call this meeting to order. Crystal, would you call the roll, please?
Dan Richardson,
Present.
Kristen Littlevick is absent. Timothy McLaughlin,
yes, present.
Scott Hagee,
I am here.
Marcus Swift,
Here.
Walter Denstedt,
Here.
Ben Ring,
Here,
Amory.
Could I possibly get a little more volume? It's. Find out. Dan,
Yes,
can
sir.
you turn up a little bit?
Let me give it a try here.
All right, you're better now.
All right.
There you go, much better. Thank you. That's good.
Very good. And you won't have to suffer with me long. I have to step out shortly. But since we have a quorum and we'll have a new officer elected, I think you'll be okay. But however, the next order of business is item 3, Pledge of Allegiance. Counselor McLaughlin,
Oh, yes.
would you be willing to lead, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and thank you all for being here tonight. I appreciate the service of my neighbors and fellow volunteers. Item 4 is approval of the agenda. Do we have any comments, remarks? And if not, do I have a motion to approve?
I'd move approval of agenda as presented. Haggy?
I would second that.
Any discussion on that? Hearing none, I would call a vote on approving the agenda. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Looks like it passed. Item 5 is election of officers. I believe, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we have 2 officers. One is the chair, of which I was elected last meeting, and the other is the position of vice chair, which is currently empty and needs to be filled. Do I have any nominations for vice chair?
I nominate Ben Ring.
Second.
Mr. Ring, are you willing to fulfill the duties of this office if you are elected?
Yes.
Excellent. Is there any discussion, or for the record, are there any other nominations? Well, I would call the vote. All those in favor of Ben Ring serving as vice chair of the Urban Renewal Board, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Ben, Councilor Ring, please take the gavel. And if you are ready, please take the meeting. It's your meeting.
I'll take the meeting. Item number 6, approval of the minutes from May 20th, 2025 and July 15th, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from these 2 meetings?
Is anybody at both of those? I don't think I was at both of those.
I'll move to
I was.
approve the minutes as presented.
Yeah. And I'll second. McLaughlin was second.
Moved by Heggie and seconded by McLaughlin. Any discussion? Hearing none. Vote to approve the minutes. Say aye.
Aye.
I
need to abstain because I wasn't at both of those.
My preference is to abstain as well, since I wasn't here in May.
I also have to abstain. I think we have to do these one by one.
These ones might be difficult to adopt at some point.
We have to do one.
Hey,
at a time.
Jonathan, question here. I think we're running short at our May 20th meeting, and wondering about, pushing those off, the May 20th meeting minutes again, pushing them off, or how we should move forward with adoption of these. I know we ran into the same, we struggled with it last time too, because there was a few people out, as well as maybe we didn't have enough.
Yeah. Can you see me? Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Great. Yeah, so this comes up from time to time. I think it's great that a lot of people are abstaining if they haven't attended the meeting. One way to get around that is to watch the meeting on YouTube. It's a little time consuming. But if you watch the meeting, you can vote on the meeting. You don't actually have to have been a participant in it, as long as you have watched it and you're a board member. Even if you weren't even a board member at the time of that meeting. I know Miss Amory wasn't. I don't think she was in May.
Oh.
And so, but even then, you could still vote as long as you've watched the meeting. And you're basically, your vote is attesting to the fact that the minutes accurately reflect what was said at that meeting and the views of the speakers. So is that helpful?
Of course.
Yeah, Mr. Vice Chair, I did watch the meeting minutes from the meeting I was not at, so therefore I can, in good faith, vote yes on it, and I think we have a majority to approve them.
Okay.
Thank you.
We get
Right.
it next time if not.
All right, so we should start the vote over again then, right? Correct.
Yeah, might be the cleanest way to do it. Yeah.
Well, it sounded like the first motion failed, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay, I would move again to approve the minutes as presented,
Second.
both sets.
Approved by Heggie, seconded by Marcus. Do I have any discussion? No. Let's vote on the approval of the minutes. Say aye.
I
Nays.
Just abstain.
And abstain here as well.
So 3 ayes, 2 abstentions. Motion passes.
Good.
Item number 7, Mr.
Wait, Red, clarification on that. 3 ayes, 2 abstentions. Would it be 4 ayes?
Yeah, because you would be one.
Yes.
Okay.
You're a voting member.
All right, Director Chandler, I believe you're up next with presentations.
Yeah, I did them together effectively. Yeah. All right. Yeah. 1 second here. Let me get this teed up. All right. So, wanted to provide a presentation for the Urban Renewal Agency. This was the same presentation that was provided to City Council back in late July 28th. I'll also be providing one to our Historic Landmarks Commission to keep everybody apprised of the project. This is, as we all know, the First Street project. We've been discussing it a long time. So we're going to go through a little bit of the history of this project and kind of talk about the evolution of the project, the history of First Street itself, as well as kind of the next steps, what we're looking at to move this project forward. This project has really been in the making for many, many years. We're carrying forward this legacy of so many people that have worked on it ahead of us. We'll cover this evening the legacy of First Street, the purpose and urgency of this project, what's been accomplished to date, how we're addressing historic and archaeological considerations, project timeline, budget, and how this ties into a broader vision for our downtown. So the legacy of First Street, really First Street is where the Dalles commercial story begins. It was the original commercial corridor and home to landmarks like the Gitchell Waldron Drug Building, the Baldwin Saloon, the Block Miller and Company Building, which is known as the Blue Building, which is currently brown, still the name stuck. The Wing Hong High Company Building, the former Umatilla House, and the larger area of the Chinatown block between Washington and Court Street. Beneath the surface, also First Street also houses one of the city's oldest water lines from 1875. It's in fact older than the historic fire wagon that is down in our fire museum. So kind of a neat point there. This corridor is not only historic, it also remains vital to our infrastructure. So floods and fires have historically shaped the First Street corridor. To combat flooding, the original street grade was raised. As a result, what was once the first floor of many buildings is now effectively the second floor. Business owners had to retrofit many of their buildings to adapt to this elevated grade. So if you go into the basement floor or to the basement of some of these buildings, you'll actually see, carve outs for windows, carve outs for doors. As the commercial activity shifted to Second Street in the late 1800s, First Street evolved and became the center of the Chinese community. One of the few surviving structures is the Wing Hong High Company Building, which is owned by Eric and Jackie Gleason, which is right in the heart of the historic Chinatown block, as I mentioned, between Washington and Court Streets. This is the location of the Urban Renewal Agency's 2 brand new, just finished up refinished parking lots. By the 1960s, many buildings had been destroyed or demolished by fire and were never rebuilt. So the project timeline is that this project started as it was contemplated in some form for nearly 2 decades. Since its inception, the agency has actually had 40 agency board members, 30 advisory committee members, 24 city councilors, 5 mayors, 5 community development directors, 3 city managers, and 3 public works directors. So there's a lot of people that have reviewed or been part of this project. The modern effort began with the Dalles Riverfront Access Project, which spanned from Union to Madison Streets. That was the original scope of this project. It originally included the Washington Street Plaza, which was a rail and freeway underpass. In 2006 is really when some of the design work began, and this was the initial phasing that was work with David Evans and Associates. And at that time, preliminary estimates for the concept ranged between $8 and $12 million. And in 2007, the city secured $1.6 million in federal funds and brought KPFF on board, which is currently the project's engineer. With the help of some state transportation improvement program funds and a 2009 voter-approved bond, we advanced the work. By 2015, 2016, the SIP bonds were returned and the scope was scaled back due to rising costs. Still, the bond obligation remained, and with it, the commitment to see this project through. So this is one of the original ideas. There was a couple designs when we were doing the work with David Evans and Associates, a couple designs. I think that at that time there was an advisory committee for the project itself. So there was a few designs shared, some different iterations, and then it evolved into this. And this was the plan that moved forward into some, finalizing some plans. This is a rendering of the Washington Street underpass. So this was an underpass that would have completely vacated Washington Street and would have allowed a pedestrian bike to basically cross underneath First Street, underneath the freeway and the railroad. This was one of the key pieces of the project when we scaled it back due to cost. This was a large chunk of the overall project cost-wise. So the current conditions of First Street, I don't know if anybody's been out there lately. We've talked about it quite a bit. Quite blighted conditions. There's ongoing deterioration. Improvements over the years have been delayed because of this project. So public works projects have not moved forward on First Street because of this pending project. There's structural failures in walls and in sidewalks. There's public safety issues, ADA accessibility barriers. And one of those areas that is probably the most challenging segments along this entire area is adjacent to the Baldwin Saloon. This highlighted area in red shows you the area that we're talking about. Here we have hollow sidewalks with vault spaces beneath them. These vaults are visibly deteriorating and the structural supports are corroded. Sidewalks and curbs have noticeably shrunk or sunk into the ground. And in some areas, what is typically a 6-inch curb is actually flat with the street grade itself. So we actually are, if you're out there right in front of the Baldwin, you will see a curb line that is flush with the street itself. To safely support this section, a different engineering approach was taken on. This was actually something that was analyzed further around 2021. The original thought around here would have been to just fill this red area just with typical structural fill, would have just kind of sealed up the vaulted area. But after doing some geotechnical work, overall engineering work, they found that fill would actually could create too much pressure against the historic building foundation itself. So it could eventually result in building failure. So the idea was to continue forward with this vaulted area, which is, added to the additional cost because there was some, rather than just to fill, there was additional piers basically placed in here. You can see some like circles around the edge. These are piers that are actually going to be in place, installed just around the the building foundation itself, and then it will be metal supports that go across to kind of basically rebuild the vault of what's already there now. Current conditions, it's just a snapshot of a few here. I think this one on the left-hand side, when our engineer was walking here last time, whether or not this is correct, he said it does look like this area is failing even more than when they were there last time. You can see the corner of the street there for years and years of people driving over it, just overall deterioration. And it's difficult to capture in the photo itself, but the two pictures to the right just show the different, how the road has been settling, how the sidewalks have been settling. On the top picture there, you'll see a curb. That curb is actually probably 16 to 18 inches. Which, as I mentioned, typically it's a 6-inch curb. And then the one on the bottom there, that is a photo of that 6-inch curb that has just entirely sunk into the ground because of the framing underneath it that is rotting away. There's some conditions of some walls. There are walls that we've talked about quite extensively over the past few years. I'm tried to capture it the best we can, but you can see there's visible deterioration, cracking of the walls, which is these walls are actually holding up sidewalks. So you're starting to see more of the deterioration with the sidewalks themselves because their supports are failing underneath them. So project history, there was a bit of a shift in 2022. So in 2022, the city and ODOT mutually ended an agreement. So we had initially had a contract or an agreement to move this project forward with ODOT. It was canceled mutually due to expected delays and rising cost. This cost impact actually was a $820,000 savings. And this was even after we paid back $320,000 of grant funds that we had already spent on the project. Following this cancellation, ODOT actually, the reason we didn't have to pay the $320,000, jumping ahead, the $320,000 wasn't required to be paid back. So that repayment was waived by ODOT as part of this termination agreement. And the project was basically reset under local control. So previously it was with ODOT, so therefore it followed some federal guidelines. So therefore not working with ODOT and through that grant, those requirements went away. And then in 2023, the city once again contracted with KPFF, having almost 2 decades of experience on the project. New project scope was defined. We really, we kind of reclassified it as the First Street project, and this is the scope was decreased a bit from Union to Laughlin Street, so taking out about 2 blocks from the original scope that was there. And this is the overlay of the project area. So this shows you this design was put together by Walker Macy, which is the same landscape architect that is doing the Federal Street Plaza. So they were able to incorporate the plaza within this plan, which I thought was kind of neat. But this gives a better visual, and I'd been talking about it for months with the board of trying to get a better visual for you all to look at instead of a bunch of engineered plans, which are a little harder to digest and see all the detail on. This is a side view of various sections of the project, just to show you how the makeup is going to be between pedestrians, travel lanes, parking, landscaping buffers, how they incorporate with buildings to the side, as well as the railroad to the other side. And these are some images showing a rendering of the before and after. So this is at the corner, that's the Baldwin right there. So this is at the corner of Court and First Street, showing you a before and after. And then here's another one at the corner of Washington and First. So current progress, there is ongoing archaeological coordination with SHPO. This has been a very extensive part of the project. We are completing right-of-way and easement acquisition. So as part of this, there was multiple easements that were required from about 8 different property owners. along the entire stretch to ensure that we have access during construction and continued access for overall maintenance of the walls themselves that we discussed, and we'll discuss a little bit more. We're finalizing the coordination with the railroad and updating and finalizing the plans with recent input for the Federal Street Plaza. I actually spoke to our engineer today, and there has been, with the Federal Street Plaza and the First Street kind of intersecting between the two, there's some needed coordination at the intersection point to make sure that, we're not, those two plans are coordinating, as there isn't, we can mitigate as many change orders as we can going forward when the project's actually going. So archaeological, the site borders, and I apologize, it's kind of difficult to see, but you can see here, that is the yellow is the project area, and you can kind of see some hashed red areas. Those are the archaeological zones. So this site is highly historic, highly revered throughout the archaeological community. It borders 4 designated archaeological zones, the largest being the Chinatown block. In our work, we have found that when we submitted our SHPO application, we will ultimately be creating what's known as an adverse effect to historic resources. So that is ultimately when you are altering a historic area, there is the ability for a project to have an adverse impact. This one has been recognized as having an adverse impact. SHPO met with our team in June of 2025. We walked the entire site. They are very familiar with the project. They've informed us that this is well known in their office. At this time, we've received, as part of the project, we have sent out letters to local stakeholders in the historic and archaeological world. We've received comments back. We've incorporated those. There's been a little bit of change here because we've actually advanced it a little bit. We submitted our memorandum of agreement to SHPO as of Friday. So now SHPO has 30 days to comment in on that. And with SHPO, it will be 30 days probably on the dot. And in that memorandum of agreement, there's mitigation coordination that we are going to be committing to as part of this project. And those measures are, little details that we are going to be adding into the project, which, when you look at it, it's actually kind of neat. You can still incorporate some of the history and into the design itself. So for instance, if you've been out there recently, there's a metal trap door that you can see that provided storage access to, I think it was a saloon that was located on the corner there. So that is actually going to be removed, a new sidewalk replaced, and then that door will be reinstalled back into the planter strip. So we'll still have ADA access for sidewalks on each side, and we're still able to kind of reuse that feature. There's a building facade, which is the photo on the bottom. That building facade is going to be protected and retained as part of this project. There's gabion walls that we will touch on in a little bit. Those gabion walls are the walls that are going to be making up all of the walls in the area, and we are going to add an additional basket on the front of those gabion walls that will have basalt rock in them, because currently the walls are made of basalt. So this is, not replicating, but at least using the material that was used with those original walls. There's going to be interpretive signage, something like a QR code that will be out there so people can learn more about the project itself, history about Chinatown. And then the Chinese name for the Dalles is going to be stamped in the sidewalk 3 to 4 in 3 to 4 locations. The walls, I think I've discussed these walls. Probably it's been the number one topic I have discussed on this project for the past 18 months. So these walls will be removed. That's there was a 2021 structural analysis that recommended these walls be removed. There was multiple options that were considered, and ultimately we went with the gabion wall design. At that time, the gabion wall was actually more affordable than just a concrete tilt-up wall or a poured wall situation. The gabion design, as I mentioned, will be modified to have an additional, it's essentially, instead of one basket, it's essentially going to have two baskets in it. The outside basket is one that's going to be more for ornamental, but overall structural. They don't take gabion walls. They don't take as much, you don't have to excavate as much ground outside of them to create your footing like you do with other wall designs. You can actually just take the basket and kind of place it down onto just a solid surface. So it actually saved us the amount that we would have to, more land that we would have to purchase from property owners along the area to establish those additional easements as well. And this is the location, the dashed line is the location in red of where the wall replacement will occur. This is a sample photo of a gabion wall. They are baskets with rocks in them. This is a design on the right-hand side. That is the detail, as I was trying to explain there. The cursor's moving kind of wonky here, but this is basically your box, your basket, and it's going to have the front area is going to have the basalt rock. The back area is just going to be a basic structural rock that is placed in many applications, like the picture to the left. So cost estimates. At this time, the subtotal here for the project is about $5.96 million. There's some additional work that still needs to be done. There's construction administrative services that will be occurring throughout the project. This is a number we believe we can shave down significantly with assistance from the city's public works department. And also in addition to cutting down the cost here, we also will have an on-site development inspector, which is actually, I think, more beneficial person working with the city for the city that's going to be able to be there on site compared to paying for an individual to come out, most likely from Portland, every single day to monitor this or whatever the case may be. So overall, we're looking at about $6.92 million. This is a 5% increase from 2024. Budgeted funds in Fund 18, we have been setting aside some money over the years. In Fund 18, there's $3.5 million. Urban Renewal Agency budgeted $3.2 million. And I put in here that additional urban renewal funding is contingent on final plan approval. This is something we've discussed. Many board members have mentioned that, the cost at $7 million, it may be more. So this is something that we are going to need to address when the time comes, because you do see there is a discrepancy. What's budgeted and what's in Fund 18 doesn't equal 6.92 million. So we're just waiting for the plans to be finalized and going through that process, and then we will be in front of you shortly after those are finalized to discuss what the final numbers are going to be. And the total spent to date is $1.5 million. $1.5 million without putting a shovel into the ground. So in talking to our engineers, this is a substantial amount of money that has been spent on a project of its size to date. But as we've been working through over the years, all the different scope changes has resulted in, redoing plans, additional testing. So at this point, we are in 1.5 million at least. And the timeline, final documents are going to be prepared. These are the final plans, the final specs for the construction itself, late summer 2025. As I mentioned today, I was speaking with our engineer. This is still very much on, we're on target to meet this. I think we're actually probably going to see those final plans completed by the first week of September. Then we have an internal review, and then the city will be preparing all the documents for bidding. Bidding and award, the goal here is fall 2025 to winter 2025-26. I think we're still on target for that. Construction start is shortly after the award, but sometime probably around the first of the year. And project completion, it's expected to last 1 year. And the reason we throw in here the timeline for the Federal Street Plaza is just to show the coordination between the two projects together. Just speaking today with our team internally, we also are going to be coordinating an open house for the community sometime in October to discuss parking impacts, traffic impacts. That'll probably be, we'll have more information on that soon, but that is going to be, it's going to be a busy downtown next year and leading into 2027. There's also another road work project that's happening on First and Weber. So there's going to be a lot of construction in the area, and we are actually going to make sure that coordinating road closures so the different projects can happen at the same time without creating too much impacts to not only local traffic, but also for guests coming with the tour boats. And this is something that we shared. We were talking about this a few months ago. This is really kind of connecting the pieces of the Federal Street Plaza the First Street project. It is the area that's highlighted in red dashes up there. It just shows, as I talked about earlier, the goal was always to have this connection to the river, and we've continued to make the investments, and we continue to make more and more investments. And this just shows how First Street is really integrated into all these different pieces in our downtown area, and it's truly like the Dalles Riverfront Connection project. I think all of these have really all of these encompass this Riverfront Connection project that was envisioned so many years ago. Recent investments, also worth talking about. We have our light capsule project, still a very, very cool project if you haven't made it out there at night to see the light installation along the Getchell building, the Tony's building site, which we will be discussing sooner than later for the board. Our First Street parking lots just recently finished, and there's also the Federal Street Plaza, which is well on its way. And like I was mentioning today, we currently have a coordination meeting about once a month internally with our team, making sure that these two projects align. Because like I said, there will be a big impact to downtown businesses, to downtown operations, and we're going to do our best to mitigate those impacts the best we can while these projects are moving forward. So moving forward with purpose, the goal with this project is, it delivers on the agency's mission to eliminate blight and boost property values. It completes a key project before the district sunsets in 2029. We honor the bond obligations and build on funds that we've already invested, the 1.5 that I mentioned earlier. Avoid future cost increases with timely action. Like I said, there was a 5% increase just last year. And we capitalize on a decades-old vision of downtown revitalization and riverfront access. And with that, I am happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Director Chandler? Nope. Thank you very much, Director Chandler, for the presentation.
Thank you.
With that, we'll move on to item 8, public comment. During this portion of the meeting, anyone may speak on any urban renewal subject. 5 minutes per person will be allowed. We have one audience member present. No? Okay. Is there anyone online, perhaps? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to number 9, action items for tonight. Director Chandler, or no, this is City Attorney Harris.
Yeah, are we on action item 9A?
Yes, sir.
Terrific. Good evening. We're here to talk about public records policy. This is on page 72 of your agenda packet for my staff report, and the resolution that would accompany it. And so for the last, I don't know, however long the agency has sort of been split from the city, I guess since 2015 in that sense, the agency has coordinated with the city of the Dalles to provide administrative and legal services. And so part of my job as the city's lawyer, my day job, so to speak, is to handle urban renewal business. And so there is still that kind of a dynamic there, and the agency pays the city for those services. That's an okay practice when it comes to adopting policies that are required by state law as well. But in this sense, I just thought it would be a good practice for us to adopt as an agency our own public records policy. It was an easy lift administratively to put this together. For the most part, we simply just use the City of the Dalles' policy, so some of the city council members on the board might recognize it. But it's a policy that is authorized by state law to sort of give the public an idea of the way that the agency's public records requests will be managed. And in this sense, it would also be establishing a new fee, since we're doing this as if this is a brand new government. We need to have a fee associated with the staff time that's involved in responding to public records requests. And I modeled it after the City of the Dalles' fee of $25 per staff hour spent. And so the policy is attached. I spent a lot of time working on this policy for the city a few years ago, and I spent a bit of time working on it for this update, just to make sure that the citations and the law hasn't changed, that the citations were accurate. The big picture on it is it defines what the agency considers to be public records, which is all consistent with state law. And it provides staff with a good administrative framework on, and the public, frankly, on how we would address requests that come in looking for records in the agency's custody. And I have this little sentence right above the budget implications section on page 73. And this is for the chair mostly. While this current action item is not a public hearing, and so there's no public testimony, and the $25 per hour that I'm encouraging the board to adopt as part of this resolution for the staff time fee for responding to public records is not really a new fee, because whenever the agency receives a public records request, in the past 5 years where I've been the city attorney, we've been processing it as if it was a City of the Dalles records request for those purposes. There is a state law that does require the board to provide an opportunity for anybody in the audience who might be an interested person just to provide public input on this resolution, because of the fact that it prescribes a new fee that would be now available for the public, or required for the public. And so before any motions are made, it would be very appropriate for the board to solicit public input if there's anybody in the audience that would like to have input on the new fee. And more than happy to answer any questions about this. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to comment? Nope. All right. Any questions for Jonathan? Nope. Okay. Do I have a motion?
I would move to adopt resolution number 25-005 as presented.
Moved by Heggie. Is there a second?
Okay, second by McLaughlin.
Second by McLaughlin. Is there any discussion? Being none, I'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No noes, no abstentions. Motion passes.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Right. Item number 10 is a discussion item, consideration of ownership transfer for the First Street parking lots. And is that you, Director Chandler?
We have Jake online with us, actually.
Thank you.
Probably
Yes.
tag team it a bit.
Mr. Anderson.
Chair Ring, members of the board, thank you for having me. I apologize for not being there in person. I am currently at an economic development conference up here in Olympia, learning and sharing and getting to know some of my new cohorts in Oregon and Washington. You have before you a discussion item and maybe a little direction for us staff. And that is we have the two lots along First Street that you have in your packet. One of them is is 13,000, almost 14,000 square feet, and that's Lot A. That lot is currently leased to the Commodore 2, and that lot is leased for $1 per year. There's a little bit of a wrinkle in this, and that is because we lease it for $1 per year, we have to pay property tax on that, and we pay close to $2,000 a year in property tax. And staff is going to need to do a little bit more work to hopefully work with the county to find a way in which the city might be willing to, if the board is amenable to moving forward, to finding a way to transfer these lots to the city, as we will be sunsetting it at some soon in the future, to 2029. I provided with you in your packet the history, and there was a lot to learn from the staff reports back in 2003. You'll notice that in 2003, we were actually talking about the first streetscaping project that it's now 20 years later, and we still haven't finished the project. And so, yeah, I know what Josh found was back to 2006, but apparently they were also talking about it back in 2003. And I don't know if it was the same exact project or there was a different plan for it back then. And then Lot B is a lot cleaner, a lot simpler. We don't have any lease on that. There's no first right of refusal. There's nothing associated with it. The real question is does the board have any use for these lots? And if it doesn't have any use for these lots, what would you guys like us to do with them?
Any comments or discussions?
These are parking lots, right? These are the parking lots.
Yep.
Okay.
They are.
Yeah, these are just the parking lots behind Last Stop and the new arcade and like Scooper
Yep.
McQuay's.
Yeah, exactly. Like the old rec building. Yeah. So how it currently works is our parking lots that are on First Street that are owned by the city are maintained and regulated by the city. These, we have overnight parking passes for those city parking lots. These are agency lots, so we don't have any of those. So it's kind of as Jake and I were discussing this to bring in front of the board, the agency, I think we're trying to phase ourselves out of property management. And we were successful in when we tore down the Tony's building, that there was some property maintenance leading up to that. And this is another one of those that really plays into it is the agency board, after we've completed these lots, is there still an interest of us policing our lots, continuing to go through the maintenance and whatever the case may be, rather than a transfer over to the city, and then can be managed, maintained by the city as a whole. And then the other caveat to Jake's point was, in 2029, all property owned by the agency will effectively transfer over to the city. So it's just a matter of, do we want to do this now? Do we have a need for the lots as they currently are?
I, for one, think it makes sense if the city's going to take it over eventually anyways. And it makes more sense anyways, especially with some of the other maintenance that'll happen along First Street after that's done. So, anybody else? No?
Agree.
So is there basically two lots here? I mean, two parking lots?
Yeah, two parking lots. Yeah, divided by Eric Gleason's building
Okay.
there.
Yep. So is the one towards the bald one, is that the one leased to the Commodore?
Correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So how does that work? I mean, is it signed that only people from the Commodore can park there? Is that what the deal is, or?
That is how the
Kind-
lease is written up.
Yeah.
It is for their exclusive use.
Okay. And is that how it's used? I mean, does the public park there at all?
The
or-
public does park there. I've had conversations with the managers of the Commodore, especially when we were repaving. And I think at that point they mentioned maybe only 5 or 6 tenants park over there. We do what the agreement says is that we have 38 spaces reserved for the Commodore, but I don't think 38 spaces have ever been filled by the Commodore. So it's really just been this informal agreement that we allow the public to go out there. We don't enforce if business owners are parking over there. So it was something that if we go through with this, with any kind of ownership transfer, we would definitely want to get into the weeds on that and figure out how to resolve it.
Okay. And it's leased to them for $1 because
What-
I'm just wondering why it's leased to them for $1, which creates this tax burden. Why don't we lease it to them for $2,000 and then it'll
Yeah, and this was some of the as we've been digging further into this was some of the information that had come up. I think the agreement itself, there was also in the very beginning of the agreement, there was the agency or the city was going to do X, Y, and Z. They were going to maintain aspects of it, and then once it was complete, they would transfer over and all maintenance would be handled by the Commodore. But over the past 20 years, none of that maintenance had occurred. So there was, I think, a couple things with there was some holes in this agreement ultimately, and I think the more we started digging into what are we really going to do with these lots, then we started coming up. And Jill and I had a brief conversation a couple years ago, and I just kind of fell off my radar as far as why we were continuing to pay taxes on it. So, as Jake was working with Jill on this, we found out that it's that's the issue. But to your point, yes, if there's any kind of agreement, it should be at least the Commodore paying for the taxes.
Because currently is Urban Renewal paying? Has Urban Renewal
Yep.
been paying those? Okay.
Yeah. So it's just kind of a money suck, really.
But down there, if I'm correct, the city did do a bunch of work to make that parking area much better. Is that right?
The agency
Try-
paid for it.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
The agency paid for it, but we were able to get a better deal on it because it was city crews that completed the work. Yeah.
If you haven't been down there, they did a nice job. They striped it and put a new surface. May I change the subject since we're talking about parking lots? Parking lot by Sawyer. I noticed on social media that the signs were removed. Where did those go and who took possession of the used car signs?
Neon Sign Museum.
Yeah. The Neon Sign Museum.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
I just didn't know.
Yeah, I think the city is working to have those posts removed relatively
Excellent,
soon.
okay.
Yep.
That answers my question.
A question about the lease with the Commodore for the first parking lot. I imagine there's going to be some sort of legal implication, like the lease changes because the ownership will transfer. So
Correct. Yep. Yeah. So this is really just like this initial conversation to see if the agency is really even interested before we start, spending too much staff time to go into the process of unraveling everything.
And that'll play into the tax liability because it's really about the use. So say it was to transfer to the city, just because the city has ownership doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be exempt. And so depending upon legally and how the Commodore might receive that, they have to step up for that liability. And then that might open the door for an exemption via application. But we would need to work through that, take a look at it. And again, that would depend on the agreement because that for us, for that statute, that liability by the Commodore has to be written into the agreement.
Okay.
So, yeah, and I can work with you and Jake more on
Okay.
that.
Sounds good.
is it possible to transfer it to, I guess, make it a public parking lot like we have along First Street between Federal and Washington Street? And what's the tax implication to that? The city still pays taxes? No.
No, we don't pay on
But-
the public lots,
Yeah.
right?
Well, so I actually have it on my list after Jake and I talked to do some research because there is a fee being paid at times. I need to do some research on that.
see.
And because this one would be multiple use, the
Yeah.
Commodore would still be using, would it meet that criteria? And so could we do per square foot, like say they have 38 spaces, say they really only need 20, we would take out what that's, if they would qualify, we could take out
Or-
20 spots for the Commodore, hypothetically, if by application they met that threshold and the rest would be exempt. So those are possibilities, but again, a bit of a gray area and shifting from for the greater good of the public and free parking to now a fee paid at times is a real question that I'm not gonna have time to research for a while.
Yeah, yeah, and we just wanted to add it to our, list of work to do. And if it was, kind of dead in the water and the agency wanted to hold on to it for one reason or another, then we wouldn't really dive into it, but just wanted to present the idea. So I think it was all purchased really as part of a larger redevelopment project for the entire block, which I think, some of those, projects kind of fell through. So now we're just sitting with 2 parking lots.
So just quickly, so public parking owned by public entity for no is not taxable. Is that right? Okay. So basically if there's a private sector interest, paying for it, then okay. So question on the lease, the $1 a year lease is what's the term on that lease and when does that expire? Do you have any idea? Is it a year to year lease or?
Jake, you may have to correct me. I think it's 50, 2053.
I think don't hold me to it, but I think it coincides with the tax credit
Oh.
for the Commodore,
Okay.
if I remember correctly.
Okay, so I'm assuming then that was a required, like having that parking was required for that development?
See, and that's more information that I really need to dig into further because it's actually, I would have to check the zone, but I think it's actually in one of like the downtown parking exempt zone, which was established in the 80s, so I think, maybe it was provided at the time by the agency to ensure that there was parking over there, not necessarily that it may have been required with any kind of approval. Yeah.
And I see in the attachment that the lease agreement began June 1st, 2003, and it says it ending December 31st, 2053. Sorry.
No, I had just.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's,
So are there
It's-
outs there though? I mean, can either party? I wonder if there's any outs.
there is language on defaults.
Have they paid the $1? I mean, that often happens when they don't pay the $1.
Yeah, I mean, I would need
Often
to double
happens.
check on that end. There are some other fees that are paid from the Commodore every year, but to that detail, haven't looked into it actually.
So I can just weigh in on the issue of the term of the lease. It started June 1st, 2003, and it goes till December 31st, 2053. So it's a 50-year term. If that's helpful. Sorry, Jake. I don't know if I couldn't hear you, Jake.
I
That sounds
couldn't
pretty
quite
loud.
make that out.
We bought the lot for the Commodore.
He said something about purchasing.
Yeah, I think he said that we bought the lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I mean, it makes sense that you're already operating parking lots,
Yeah.
on First Street. There's no reason why Urban Renewal needs to be owning and operating parking lots.
Yep.
Or paying tax for it.
Paying taxes, yeah.
It's pretty rare that the tenant isn't the one that pays.
Okay, do we have any direction for staff? Generally, we all agree moving forward on this? So-
Yes.
Okay. Do
All
you
right.
have any anything that you need more for?
No, that's really what we needed. Like I said, this is the first step in it. Probably won't be discussing it for a while. Just as we kind of dig into it, it's not really a hot button issue for us, but just wanted to bring it up to add something else to our plates.
Got it. All right, on to item number 11, board member comments and questions. Is there anyone any of us?
I have one quick one for the counselor, Jonathan. We had some easement access. Has it been resolved? Did you resolve these issues?
I think I resolved most of them. I'm waiting on one that it has been expressed to me by the owner's attorney that the easement, the signed notarized easement was mailed to me on Thursday of last week. It's currently Tuesday. I haven't received it. I think it was mailed from inside the Dalles as well. And so sometimes the mail can take a little bit, so I'm not terribly worried, but
So it
as I
has been-
understand it has been
so it's
resolved.
been
I just
resolved.
haven't- it's been tentatively resolved. I'm reluctant to say it's been done because I haven't received it yet, but according to his attorney, he sent it on Thursday. So I'm waiting to get it in the mail. We'll see. But yeah,
All right.
99%.
Thank you.
You bet.
Mr. Swift, any questions or comments? No. Any staff comments, project updates in addition?
Yeah, no, I think the biggest project update was the First Street project. So I was glad we were able to discuss that. One other, and we'll be discussing it at a later date. The fermentation hub, we had an exclusive negotiating agreement that actually ended on, I guess it was last Monday or it was on Friday. Neither party really moved forward with with any kind of agreement. So we will be discussing that further at a later date with you all. Still kind of fresh, so we need to, think on it a little bit more and come up with, next steps and have a discussion on next steps of what to do with the Tony site.
Can I ask clarification? So what does that mean exactly? I mean, does that mean that that process is not moving forward?
Yeah, so the agency is no longer bound to have just exclusive negotiating with them specifically. So at any point, the agency can really start negotiating with any other proposal that comes forward. Jonathan can correct me on this one, but since we went through this RFEI process, there could be the potential to discuss with the other two proposals that came in. Other than that, I think it would be a process of going through another RFP type of process, but we can also continue to have those conversations with the fermentation hub with that group. It just wouldn't be, it wouldn't be exclusive to them. So,
Okay. I mean, have we received communication from them that they were not moving forward at this time or anything like that?
our team has been working with them, to try to compile some documents, and there was some events leading up to, some cancellations of meetings, and we just basically deliverables weren't met.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there an indication that they want to continue discussion?
Unless I'm getting a notification here. We actually have not received any word. I think there was the Main Street grant that was going to be assisting the project upwards of $400,000 that was not awarded to the project. So I think that was a pretty substantial hit financially. So after that, I think it's really kind of fizzled out. I'll be completely honest. So we're happy to continue to discuss it with them. They still think, we still agree that it's a great project. But at this time, nothing's moving forward.
Yeah,
And
we've had no update in the last 3 weeks.
And possibly some extenuating circumstances going on.
Okay.
Okay. Good to know. With that, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thanks.
Oh my
Great.
God.
Thank you.
1 hour. You're hired.
I know.
Yeah.
You get my
Yeah.
vote.
Jeez.
Can we vote to take Dan out of chair?
Yeah. Can we?
Not while he's not here.
Trying to do it.
Oh,